I'm so full of it that I'm just telling you a story.
No. I have a question about population density. In your observation, how much density can this model support? I mean, obviously, if you get into a megalopolis area, you don't have enough farmable land to support the population. So where do you run in, where does it work and where does it stop?
Oh, that is the best question. Platinum question. I got called the anti-planner because I believe that we need to densify in certain places, but that we can't all become, the planners around the country basically think the whole solution to peak oil and all of our problems is that if we all move to the city, or if we all move around a light rail node,
right, that
we'll all be good. I'm like, that's a cultural problem. It's not just land, it's also culturally, we don't have anybody that knows how to grow food. And that makes people hungry. And in fact, we've fine-tuned the model so much now that we like working on things like what China is doing. And every 40-story tower that gets built has like a 500-acre food footprint. And if that food footprint isn't within a metabolic distance of the tower, you're just basically building a slum. Exactly. Because eventually it's going to be too expensive to move the food around. So we think that's why we call it Agriburbia. The reality is that while everybody just has basically beat up on that density for years and years, that density, or just a little bit less, like 6 to the, anywhere from 6 to the acre to like 2 to the, to like larger farms. But that's how farming, like we envision it. This is very intense farming. It grosses 50 to 60 grand an acre, and it's all on drip irrigation, and it's like a real job. It's not just if I buy a bigger header, I'm going to, make 1/1,000,000th of a cent more per bushel. This is like, this is more like a big, flat, and green. It's like a real business. And so you need people to work there. And you need them close by. And that's why we, in all these places that we build, including the school district, like even on the school district land, we're talking about building. Now there's all kinds of rules, and there's all kinds of things, but we said what we need to do is build one of these farm kits, one of these barn, that's also got a living quarters in it for somebody on the place. They wake up every morning and they run those. That's a job and a place to live. That's, at that density and making money and making really good food for everyone. So the question, we've done everything from rooftop gardens. There's a lot of people that think somehow we're going to feed ourselves by, greening up the cities. And once you understand like the calories, like how much we eat, you go, wow, that's not going to work. It's really good for herbs. And we like all vegetables. We design rooftop gardens for restaurants, and we have all kinds of things like that, all things agriculture. But the real bulk of the calories are going to come from the exurbs, from the right around the counties, and then that's when we do this community food fraction, we count the calories that the cities are consuming. And we can actually do the proximal, we call it caloric proximity. So we actually calculate the caloric proximity to the population. And what you really want to do, in fact, I talked with Mary about this. What the plan really is about in our version is not just like preserving the bucolic setting. It's how are you going to really provide the underpinnings of infrastructure so that the situation works, the market works, the market, which is the potential of the cities, and the close hinterland, the food. That's the economic transaction. So that's the plan. It's not just like how do we make it stay looking bucolic. I mean, we work on farm plans all over, and actually a lot of times we run into the problem that the farming we're talking about is so intense. It's beautiful, it's green, but it's very intense. It's business, and that wasn't written into the conservation easements or whatever. And so we have one We had one project, like literally, we couldn't do it because the conservation easement on the ground was written so tightly that we couldn't build the infrastructure we needed to make those 10 jobs.
Good point.
So we've just been at it for a while, and the key is every location is different, and every kind of county has a different take on it or whatever. But ultimately, the closer the calories are to the people that are going to consume them, the better the job market is, the more economy that you get locally there, and that's only going to get better as resources, as oil gets more expensive or whatever happens.
Well, getting back to the fundamental question, though, I mean, if you look at everything north and east of Washington, D.C., I would say that that's an impossible situation. Would I be wrong?
No, you're right.
Okay.
No one knows what that answer is, and China's building a worse situation for all those people.
Yeah, right. So if we're in an area that is not heavily populated, but can you give and I'm sure that you have degrees of refinement in your model that if you go to the most intense degree of development, of farming development, that you could accommodate a higher population density. But just before you go into all those refinements, what kind of population per square mile are we talking about that works?
You mean it can be supported,
Yeah.
or that would actually do the production? I mean,
Yeah,
I guess
either model. I mean, yeah. The answer is yes.
I guess the way to say that, like I say, is we actually, no one knows how Manhattan is going to get fed, honestly.
Who cares?
The people that are seriously in agriculture are trying to figure out, and the Hudson Valley is the only place that'll happen. So
Right.
if you have to move the calories closer, like if you're talking about in your location and you have a medium-sized town, that's what we do. We calculate how many calories that you need, and then how much land that would take to grow that many calories. And then where that land is, how close in it is where we actually target the new farmers. So this farming is like on the 5 to 10 acre per farm scale.
I mean, it would appear to me that we'd be in very good condition. Where are you in Colorado?
We're in Golden. So
Okay.
we're about 20 minutes west of Denver.
Right.
Well,
We have operations all over. I mean, we have operations all the way to the north, and then all of these small cities that are much more like Hickory are building their agricultural rings. They're already there. I mean, that's all ag land. It's very similar. It's it's not treed, it's not forested, but it's very similar from a planning standpoint.
Right.
And they also one of our biggest clients are all the horse farms. All these people in the last 50 years went out and bought 3-5 acres and built a nice big trophy home or whatever, and now their kids are on to school or whatever, and they've got this land, and it's like, wow, what am I going to do now? And those are the target steward farming lots that are going to provide the bulk of the calories for the cities where it's too dense to grow any real calories. I'm not sure I'm answering your question.
Well, and the next point, I'm just trying to think along with you. Hickory is kind of unique in that we are an MSA. We're a metropolitan statistical area,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes,
we're only 50 miles from a huge MSA, that being Charlotte, Mecklenburg.
Yes.
So it would seem that would be a pretty ideal situation, similar to where you are, in that we have a great market for excess food.
Oh my gosh, that's why I'm talking to you guys. I think it's stunning. I'm invested there. I have relatives. I have everybody. I think this is like the thrill of life to talk to you guys, because I think you guys are going to be, if you take it on and we figure out how to do this, we're going to show everybody model. There's very few people. Vermont is ahead of the curve. There are a few locations in California that are pretty serious about this, but actually developing plans and infrastructure to make Agriburbia, that model work. And the reason we coined the term is because there's no other way to describe it, but it's that style of food production and living. You got it. I mean, you've got all the pieces are ready to go. We just need to make the policies work for it.
Well, let me ask you about capitalization of something such as this. I mean, have you looked into the possibilities of having a mechanism such as a local stock market in which the people that live in the area, our MSA is 360,000 people, and I would say it centers around the city of Hickory, and you go out maybe 30 miles each way in a radius, and that would be the way that the footprint looks. It's called the Unifor area. It's basically 4 counties. But is there a possibility to get
there that covers all that area, a metropolitan planning organization?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But is there a possibility of creating a mechanism where local people can invest in something such as this, and not on an individual level, but on a collective level, so that they're not sending their money to New York, they're keeping it on the local level, and we can get more bang for the buck from local people and get them to wake up to something such as this?
I don't need to say any more. That's kind of the part of the plan that I'm working on, is to try and get all the right players to the table, both corporate players and individuals that understand kind of what I was saying before, which is a really strong local economy, get you people that want to do other things there economically, and the underpinnings. It's kind of, it's a Back to the Future kind of thing. I don't want to give up my iPhone and stuff, but the reality is close-in farming creates fabulous. The most expensive real estate in the country is Sonoma and Napa, and it's because it's working landscapes. Those landscapes don't look that way because somebody's trying to manicure them. They look that way because somebody's making money. And if you have a really good, strong, agricultural economy where you can capture 60 or 70% of the caloric need by local, and this includes also out of season. Like, we calculate how much food is being consumed, and then how do you grow enough tomatoes so that you can have your local marinara. You can do, and one of the things that's it also goes to who's going to invest in this. Who are the players? We have about half a dozen of the really high-profile, not really expensive, but just really, really the top-notch restaurants in the Denver area, and they are all like they're over here at our barn, at our office, all the time, talking about how, as a restaurant, they're going to be a community resource because they have canning kitchens, and they can do this, and they want to do that. And they know if they actually make the real local economy go, they can hire people, and the farmers hire people. And so the answer is it can be capitalized, but it's not, or the capital really should probably come from those local entities, that have skin in the game.
The stakeholders.